Have you ever heard someone say, "Wow, you look younger than your age"? It feels good to hear. But have you ever wondered why? We often assume longevity is the result of good genes, careful skincare, or a healthy diet. But there is something else, deeper, more enduring, and far more potent than any serum. It's how we face life. Surprisingly, those who appear younger often live by an ancient principle, quiet, unassuming, yet powerful enough to transform a life. It is the spirit of Stoicism. In this video, we'll uncover 7 hidden reasons why you may look younger than your years. Not through magic, but through inner strength, clarity of thought, and a way of living that builds resilience from within. 1. You do not let adversity define you. In life, no one escapes wounds, failures, or loss. But the difference between those who remain youthful and those who age quickly lies in how they respond to adversity. It's not that the youthful haven't felt pain. It's that they refuse to let pain seep into their soul. They do not allow hardship to become a permanent stamp that defines who they are. For those who live by the spirit of Stoicism, adversity is not a reason to collapse, but the raw material from which resilience is forged. They understand this. Life will hurl countless disruptions our way, events outside our control. But our reaction, the way we choose to face these disruptions, is fully within our grasp. And in that choice, our true nature begins to reveal itself. When someone loses a job, they might drown in failure, burn with resentment toward themselves and the world, and carry that bitterness for years. In the same situation, someone else may choose to see it as a chance to rebuild, to learn, and to move forward with greater composure. 2 people, 2 choices, and over time, those choices etch themselves into their faces, their gait, their energy, so vividly that no words are needed. Others feel it. Neuroscience has shown that chronic stress raises cortisol levels, one of the main culprits behind aging. But stress doesn't just come from the outside world. It arises from within, from the way we cling to pain, from silent resistance, from relentless self-blame. Those who live by Stoic principles learn to accept hardship without surrendering to it, to recognize that suffering is part of the human condition. But we don't have to identify with it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they learn to ask, "How will I respond so this does not control me?" This shift in thinking moves something deep inside, from victim to observer. When they no longer cling to self-pity or rage, they step out of the role of the wounded and rise into the posture of one who chooses. It's not easy to do, but the strange thing is, once they succeed, the body begins to change. Tension eases, the face softens, sleep deepens, the breath becomes steady. This is when the quiet internal transformation begins to show externally, subtle but unmistakable. Those who refuse to let adversity define them often have a distinct look in their eyes, not naive, but seasoned, deep, and clear. These are the eyes of someone who has stood at the edge of collapse and chosen not to fall. Their presence brings calm to others, not because they try to prove anything, but because they exude groundedness, free of struggle or pretense. And that makes them appear younger, not in a superficial way, but with a vitality that radiates from the spirit. Another clear trait of such people is a calmness in action. They are not easily provoked, nor do they overreact to trivial matters. They do not let someone else's words dictate their emotions, because they understand, if we allow a single negative comment to disrupt our peace for an entire day, we've handed the reins of our life to someone else. And a life lived like that slowly loses its youth as the inner world becomes tense, guarded, drained by what doesn't matter. The Stoic spirit is not cold indifference. On the contrary, it is the courage to face emotion, then choose how to respond. The Stoic does not deny sadness, nor pretend they're never angry. They feel it, then let it pass like a cloud across the sky, without clinging, without making it their identity. And it is this gentle release, not suppression, that frees both body and mind. A clear example is someone going through heartbreak. For those who let adversity define them, they'll live as the abandoned, crafting a story of inadequacy that seeps into every future choice. But the Stoic sees that relationship as a necessary part of life, a place of learning, love, and parting. They do not deny the sorrow, but they do not become it. They know pain is real, but it does not determine their worth. When you no longer let adversity define you, you become freer, not imprisoned by the victim role, not needing to prove anything to anyone. This freedom awakens the force within, where every cell, every heartbeat, every breath pulses with genuine vitality. And that vitality, more than any cream or serum, slows aging naturally. Adversity is inevitable, but our response can either make it the stone that buries us, or the foundation upon which we build a stronger self. Those who stay youthful choose the latter, not because they are luckier than others, but because they are more steadfast in how they live. In the end, the real question isn't whether we've stumbled, but how we've chosen to rise. And the one who rises quietly, without fanfare or blame, is the one who remains youthful longer than any product ever could. 2. You do not fear change, you welcome it. Change is inevitable. Life moves without pause, from small shifts like the weather or work, to major turning points such as musis, relocation, the end of a relationship, or the beginning of a new journey. Yet not everyone can embrace change with ease. Most people cling to what's familiar because it offers a sense of psychological safety, a place where they feel in control, even if that stability is often an illusion. Those who appear youthful often share a common trait: flexibility in both thought and behavior. They don't just accept change, they welcome it as a natural part of life. To them, change is not a sign of instability, but an invitation to grow. While others resist change and live in anxiety, they observe, adapt, and move forward. In Stoic philosophy, resisting what is beyond our control is a root cause of suffering. Change, by its very nature, lies outside the bounds of total human control. Time will pass, bodies will age, circumstances will shift. Resisting this truth only burdens the soul, draining it of vitality. In contrast, the Stoic practitioner masters the art of adaptability, the ability to hold firm to core values while adjusting methods, actions, or direction as conditions evolve. From a biological perspective, those who adapt well tend to have better balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. They manage stress more effectively, experience less impact from cortisol, the hormone that accelerates aging. Their brains are more agile, forming new neural connections, a key to maintaining mental clarity and rejuvenation over time. Their youthfulness isn't just visible on the surface. It stems from an inner life that is alive, current, and always learning. A clear example is someone facing a career crisis. For those who fear change, this may trigger prolonged anxiety, leading them to shrink inward, stagnate, and gradually lose their inner vitality. But for someone who accepts change as inevitable, they won't drown in a sense of loss. They will face the situation squarely, asking, "What can I do next? What can I learn from this?" It's this proactive search for direction that helps them sustain positive energy and a youthful presence. One of the most striking traits of those who welcome change is a healthy curiosity toward the unknown. Instead of fearing uncertainty, they are intrigued by new possibilities. Their minds constantly ask, experiment, and absorb, diverse perspectives. This process keeps their brains highly active, a crucial defense against age-related cognitive decline. In social situations, those who are flexible with change tend to connect more easily with others. They're not trapped in a rigid version of themselves. They can shift communication styles, change habits, or broaden their worldview to harmonize, all while staying true to who they are. This creates a sense of ease and approachability, giving them an energy that feels alive, confident, and likable. Importantly, embracing change doesn't mean losing direction. On the contrary, the Stoic always holds fast to an internal core: reason, self-mastery, moral character. With this foundation, they don't fear losing themselves in life's turbulence. They understand we cannot stop the wind, but we can learn how to steer the sail. It must also be acknowledged that change often brings pain. Some losses are hard to accept. Some shifts can feel disorienting. But the Stoic does not reject that pain. They meet it with honesty, then move through it, without letting it halt their steps. Instead of demanding a world that remains still, they learn to move with the current without losing their course. Those who embrace change rarely imprison themselves in the past. They don't live in former glories or dwell on missed opportunities. They turn toward the present, the only place where action is possible, and see the future as open ground. This perspective lifts the weight of regret from their face, replacing it with light, hope, and readiness. And this openness is what makes them look youthful, even when their years have advanced. Rigidity of thought, when people restrict themselves to a single pattern of behavior, doesn't just impoverish their life, it also stifles their body. Everything from facial expression, posture, body language to tone of voice becomes dull, lifeless. In contrast, flexibility brings physiological movement. Adaptable people move more, express more, engage more, all of which activate biological systems tied to rejuvenation. Change is the only certainty in life, and those who understand it, accept it, learn from it, and step forward with intention, they are the ones who maintain youth in the most natural way. Not because they fear aging, but because they choose to live untethered to the past, unbound by what is outdated, and unafraid of what lies ahead. 3. You still carry the curiosity of a child. Curiosity is a natural state of being. From childhood, we ask questions endlessly, explore the world around us, and try everything without fear of being wrong. But as we grow older, many lose that curiosity. They begin to believe they know enough, shy away from new experiences, and avoid uncertainty. And this withdrawal slowly dulls the mind, weighs down the body, and robs the eyes of their former spark. Yet some people, despite the passage of years, manage to preserve a childlike curiosity. They are unafraid to ask questions, unashamed to admit what they don't know, and always eager to explore something new. This hunger to learn becomes a powerful source of energy, sustaining their mental vitality, cognitive agility, and a youthful aura that defies biological explanation. From a Stoic perspective, curiosity is not merely a sign of intelligence, but a reflection of a humble mind open to growth. The philosophy discourages arrogance or resting on one's past understanding, urging us instead to re-examine what we think we know, expand our awareness, and confront truth, even when it's uncomfortable. In Stoic thought, curiosity fuels wakefulness, and wakefulness is the root of a life free from delusion. Neurologically, curiosity has been shown to benefit both the structure and function of the brain. When we encounter something new, the brain forms new neural pathways, a process known as neuroplasticity. This is essential for maintaining cognitive flexibility, quick reflexes, and reducing age-related decline. Curious individuals tend to use more of their brain's capacity, preserving clarity, focus, and long-term memory. Moreover, curiosity is closely linked to neurotransmitters, like dopamine, the chemical that drives excitement and motivation. When we learn something new or solve something previously unknown, the brain releases dopamine as a natural reward. This creates a cycle of positive reinforcement: curiosity, exploration, discovery, elation, renewed curiosity. That cycle not only enlivens the spirit, it radiates through one's energy and presence. People who preserve their curiosity also tend to lead more active lives. They aren't afraid to take a new class, read outside their field, meet people unlike themselves, or explore unfamiliar place. Each of these actions becomes a way to refresh the self, not just intellectually, but spiritually. A mind that's constantly updated and stretched reveals itself in bright eyes, animated expressions, and a presence full of vitality. Another key trait: curious people aren't afraid to be wrong. They understand that mistakes are essential to learning, so they don't let shame or pride block their access to what's new. In a rapidly shifting world, this mindset is a serious advantage. Those who stay in learning mode, adapt more easily, are less shaken by unexpected changes, and as a result, preserve calm and clarity, both of which are essential to a youthful appearance. In relationships, curiosity plays a vital role. Curious people tend to listen more, ask more, and show genuine interest in those around them. As a result, they form deeper, more meaningful, longer-lasting connections. Biologically, such connections promote the release of oxytocin, a hormone that fosters trust, relaxation, and bonding. This, too, lowers stress and contributes to holistic rejuvenation. Behaviorally, curious people don't allow themselves to fall into repetitive, stagnant routines. They seek variety and experience, from trying new foods, listening to unfamiliar music, to stepping into new environments. They don't let life be constrained by old habits, and this flexibility keeps the spirit lit. Never sluggish, never lazy, never prematurely old. A central Stoic tenet is this: the world is always larger than our current understanding. For that reason, those who live by Stoic principles maintain a lifelong posture of learning, not to feed the ego, but to align more closely with truth. This attitude keeps them free from outdated assumptions, unbound by static identity, and moving fluidly with reality as it unfolds. Curiosity is also a sign of deep connection to life. As children, we're curious because everything is new. As adults, only those with open hearts can still see the world through the lens of discovery. It helps them understand not only the world more clearly, but also themselves. Every new experience becomes a mirror for the inner self, a chance to refine, to grow, and to evolve. Older individuals who preserve curiosity often possess a striking quality: they make others feel at ease. They do not judge, they do not boast about what they know. They are always reaching to understand more. That attitude creates a gentle field of energy, a mix of wisdom, humility, and ageless vitality. In short, curiosity is not merely a behavior, but a sign of a soul still rich with life. Just as flowing water doesn't stagnate, a questioning mind never grows stale. And that, more than any product or treatment, is the truest form of youth, a vitality born at the root of awareness. 4. You don't imprison yourself in emotion. You let it flow through. Emotion is an inseparable part of human life. We feel joy, sorrow, anger, pain, regret, love. All these states flow through our inner world, sometimes fierce, sometimes faint, but never stagnant. Yet what matters is not the emotion itself, but how we respond to it. To those who live by Stoic principles, emotion is neither something to be eliminated nor idolized. Instead, they learn to observe their emotions with clarity, neither letting them dictate behavior nor suppressing or denying their presence. They understand that emotion in itself is not the problem. The problem arises when we cling to negative emotions, dwell in them too long, and mistake them for who we are. To be trapped in emotion, especially emotions like anger, anxiety, envy, or resentment, gradually exhausts both body and mind. Biologically, such emotions stimulate cortisol production, a hormone closely linked to aging, poor sleep, digestive issues, compromised immunity, and accelerated cellular decline. In contrast, when people learn to release emotion at the right time and in the right way, the body returns to its natural balance, helping preserve inner and outer vitality. One common misconception is that suppressing emotion equals strength. In reality, suppression only drives emotion underground, where it manifests as subtle psychological and physiological disturbance, chronic stress, anxiety disorders, even cardiovascular problems. Those who don't allow themselves to feel sadness, anger, or disappointment often wear a forced expression, a rigid face, and lifeless eyes, because blocked emotions inevitably show themselves through the body and demeanor. Meanwhile, those who let emotion flow are not indifferent or passive. They still feel lost deeply, still shed tears when hurt, but they don't build their identity on those painful experiences. They allow emotion to arrive and also to depart. Like a cloud passing across the sky, emotion is acknowledged, understood, but never held on to. Healthy emotional processing doesn't mean dramatic outward display. Everyone has their own way. Some journal, some talk to a loved one, some turn to art, movement, or meditation. Whatever the method, the common thread is this: they don't let negative emotions linger too long or turn into toxic energy that corrodes the mind and body. From a Stoic viewpoint, one of the highest human capacities is the ability to distinguish between what we can and cannot control. Emotions in many cases arise spontaneously beyond our control, but how we respond, whether we hold on or let go, is entirely our choice. And that choice is what builds true mental resilience. People who are not governed by emotion carry a distinct energy. They are neither overly expressive nor cold. They don't overreact to insults, nor do they panic in crisis. They maintain an inner steadiness that makes others feel at ease in their presence, and that steadiness grants them a lightness and ease of appearance, two essential traits of lasting youthfulness. In reality, those who live in constant emotional extremes tend to suffer from insomnia, appetite imbalance, chronic fatigue, and diminished concentration. Over time, these conditions directly affect skin, posture, the nervous system, and overall biological rhythm. In contrast, those who regulate their emotions tend to maintain balanced habits, caring for their bodies naturally and without force. And that consistency is what delivers sustainable vibrancy. One key point is this: emotional release is not always instantaneous. Sometimes emotion must be allowed to stay a while, so it can be fully understood before being released. Those who manage emotion well don't force themselves to cheer up, but allow themselves to pass through each emotional phase honestly, transforming the feeling rather than rejecting it. This is a natural process, and it is the path to true emotional well-being. In social relationships, those who master emotion tend to build and sustain stronger connections. They don't let fleeting emotions destroy long-standing bonds, nor do they allow unrealistic expectations to breed constant disappointment. They communicate directly, listen without defensiveness, and express feelings with timing and ER, creating a space of safety, clarity, and growth. From all this, it becomes clear that letting emotion pass is not merely a spiritual choice. It is also a biological strategy for maintaining health and youth. A mind that is light, unburdened by old wounds or repetitive negativity, creates a stable nervous system, a harmonious body, and a naturally pleasant presence. This way of living doesn't come from luck or talent. It is the result of consistent training to recognize emotion, to accept it, and to let it go when the time comes. Those who practice this steadily build a quiet strength, the kind that lets them move through life without carrying unnecessary emotional weight. And it is precisely that strength which preserves their calm, their peace, and their timelessness. 5. You live within positive energy, not by chance, but by choice. Human beings are creatures of their environment. Our minds, emotions, and even our bodies are deeply influenced by the spaces we inhabit and the people we interact with daily. A single critical remark can dampen our mood for an entire day. Conversely, a simple act of kindness can uplift and soothe the weariness in our minds. This shows that the energy of our surroundings, whether positive or negative, has a far greater impact than we often realize. Those who appear younger than their age do not live in positive environments by accident. They actively choose, shape, and protect the energy around them. Much like a farmer selects good seeds and removes weeds so that the garden may thrive, they understand that if they allow themselves to be surrounded by negativity, heavy conversations, constant judgment, or tense atmospheres, their inner world will slowly darken, and this will inevitably manifest outwardly. From a Stoic perspective, we cannot control the world entirely, but we can control our responses and what we allow into our lives. This applies clearly when it comes to choosing our environment and relationships. While no one can choose the family or place they were born into, each person can adjust the circle they engage with, set boundaries, and deliberately nurture positive connections. Those who live within positive energy often know how to avoid toxic interactions, gossip, non-constructive criticism, toxic competition, or endless complaining. They don't let these patterns seep into their daily rhythm, knowing that each time they engage in such negativity, their mind is pulled into a matching emotional state, weakening mental health and dimming their presence. Biologically speaking, people who live in positive environments, surrounded by empathy, encouragement, and inspiration, tend to produce more oxytocin, the hormone of connection and calm. Oxytocin not only improves mood, but also reduces cortisol, the stress and aging hormone. This hormonal balance fosters better sleep, healthier digestion, and more consistent energy, all of which are foundational to lasting youthfulness. A positive environment does not need to be luxurious or perfect. It could be a clean corner of a room where morning sunlight filters in, a small tea table where you speak honestly with a kind friend, or a community where people share what's helpful without comparison or competition. These small, consistent choices create a healthy, energetic field that nourishes both mind and body. One important note: people who live in positive energy don't wait for others to cheer them up. They initiate positive energy from within. By practicing gratitude, nurturing kind thoughts, or simply smiling at a stranger. Though these actions may seem small, they are powerful. When a person radiates positive energy, they brighten not only their own space, but become an anchor for others, forming a natural circle of upliftment. Choosing who gets to be in your life is also part of this journey. Those who value inner peace do not allow themselves to be pulled into dramatic, pressured, or unhealthy relationships. They can say no calmly, set clear boundaries, and feel no guilt when withdrawing from toxic ties. This isn't selfishness, it's the protection of their life energy, something no one else can safeguard for them. People who habitually live within positive energy also engage in steady practices to guard their mental space, limiting negative media consumption, avoiding pointless social media debates, and investing time in what nourishes the mind, like reading, healing music, or meditation. They don't let the outer world dictate their inner state. They choose what enters their awareness each day. In the workplace, positive individuals often influence others quietly. They don't speak much, but show up consistently, anchored and dependable, creating a sense of calm around them. Colleagues approach them for understanding, not to vent frustration. This stability makes them appear younger, because they're not swept up in emotional chaos, and their mind and presence remain clear, simple, and natural. A profound Stoic teaching says, "Pay close attention to the people you spend time with, for you will become like them." This is not just a moral warning. It reflects a psychological truth. Human moods are contagious. Energy, positive or negative, can spread through words, glances, gestures, even silence. Therefore, choosing to be around those with a positive mindset not only uplifts your spirit, but also directly impacts your overall health. People who dwell in positive energy don't try to appear youthful. Youthfulness comes to them as a natural result of a clear mind, balanced emotions, and a life shaped by intention. They are not drained by trivial matters, not swept into drama, and not straining to impress. That authenticity gives rise to a gentle, effortless radiance, something no makeup can replicate. More importantly, positive energy is a form of long-term investment. Every day spent in a nourishing environment is a day the body restores, the spirit replenishes, and relationships are enriched. The effects may not be immediate, but in time, the difference becomes unmistakable, not only in how we experience life, but in how others perceive us. 6. You live with clear purpose. Each day comes with a reason to wake up. Human beings are not made to merely survive. Beyond our basic needs for food, sleep, and safety, we carry a deeper longing, the need for meaning. Each of us holds within a desire to contribute, to leave a mark, or at the very least, to know that our presence in this world is not in vain. When someone has a clear sense of purpose, they not only sustain a spiritual direction, but also maintain a steady inner flame, an essential element in preserving youth and vitality. From a biological standpoint, the human brain responds positively to goal-driven activity. When we do something meaningful to us, the body releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with excitement, motivation, and reward. This doesn't just bring instant joy, it also enhances focus, reduces stress, and improves sleep quality, all of which directly impact our physical appearance and ability to recover. In contrast, living without purpose can lead to stagnation, mental fatigue, and a sense of disconnection. Days that pass without direction slowly erode our emotional state, making our gaze hollow, our voice lifeless, and turning daily actions into obligations rather than chosen acts. If prolonged, this condition weakens both the nervous system and physical function, contributing to emotional and physical aging. In Stoic philosophy, living with purpose is a core element of moral life. Practitioners do not treat purpose as some lofty ambition, but as an inner compass that guides all actions, decisions, and thought. They do not drift aimlessly through life, but stay connected to the deeper reason they rise each morning. Whether that reason is as vast as serving humanity, or as personal as caring well for family, every day holds its own meaning, and this connection keeps their mind awake, their body in motion, and their life energy consistent. Having a purpose also greatly influences how we respond to hardship. Without purpose, even small difficulties can be enough to make us quit. But with clear purpose, we become more resilient in the face of adversity because we understand that our efforts serve something larger. This approach minimizes emotional waste and preserves mental energy, both critical to sustaining inner youth. One important point: purpose doesn't need to be tied to fame or grand achievements. It can be a commitment to a personal journey, a meaningful product, or simply a chosen principle. People who live with purpose tend to show focus, consistency, and the ability to regulate their emotions, habits, and behavior in service of what they believe in. They don't float passively through life, but actively choose their path each day. Emotionally, those with ideals tend to be more stable. They are less easily swayed by outside forces and don't let praise or criticism define their worth. They measure themselves not by fleeting recognition, but by how closely they are living in alignment with what they believe is right. This cultivates a quiet inner strength, unassuming, yet deeply rooted. This stability is also visible in their appearance. People with a clear sense of purpose often carry positive energy, a firm stride, a gaze with direction, a calm but weighty tone of voice. They don't try to impress. Clarity and consistency in how they live naturally draw others in. And it is precisely this lack of pretense that makes them look more youthful, more natural, and more magnetic. Another benefit of purposeful living is the ability to maintain healthy habits. When someone knows what they live for, they tend to take better care of themselves, not out of pressure, but because they view their health as a tool to continue living meaningfully. They eat wisely for energy, sleep well to stay alert, and exercise to support the long road ahead. All these actions, practiced consistently, form a strong physical foundation. And that is the root of enduring youthfulness. Those without purpose often fall into harmful behaviors like substance abuse, late nights, toxic content consumption, or careless spending of time and money. These habits not only harm the body, but dim the inner light, something no cosmetic can replace. By contrast, people with clear reasons for living tend to make wise choices because each decision is measured against one question: does this bring me closer to my purpose? Purpose also binds us to community. Those who live for ideals often feel driven to share, to inspire, and to positively influence others. They do not live only for themselves, but for values that rise beyond the self. Being connected to something greater gives them long-term motivation, something momentary pleasures or passing emotions can never provide. Ultimately, those who live with a clear ideal do not fear time. They don't count age by years, but by the steps they've taken on a meaningful path. So even as they grow older, they never truly feel old, because in their mind, each day is lived fully. Each step is taken with intention. Each moment is one of learning and giving. And this way of being is the clearest expression of a youth untouched time. 7. You know the past cannot be changed, but the present can't. The past is what has already happened. It is a collection of decisions, events, wounds, joys, mistakes, and missed chances. Whether good or bad, the past shapes who we are in the present. Yet an undeniable truth remains: the past cannot be undone. The only thing we can control is our attitude toward it, and the way we choose to live in the present. People who appear youthful, radiant, and at ease tend to share one thing in common: they do not carry the past as a burden, nor do they let it define their worth. They can reflect in order to learn, but they do not cling. They remember, but they do not hold on. They understand that mentally replaying what has already passed only damages the present, and with it, the natural vitality they still possess. From a biological perspective, constant rumination or fixation on past trauma can activate a chronic stress response in the body. Specifically, when the brain replays painful memories, it cannot distinguish past from present and continues to send out alarm signals and release cortisol, the stress hormone. Elevated cortisol levels over time have been linked to weakened immunity, hormonal imbalance, sleep disturbances, and accelerated aging in both the brain and schizophrenia. By contrast, those who know how to let go of the past do not fall into that emotional trap. They do not deny what happened, but they refuse to allow it to loop endlessly in their minds. They use past experiences as lessons, not as sentence. This ability to transform emotion helps them maintain inner calm, an essential element of sustained youthfulness. In Stoic philosophy, focusing on the present is foundational to awareness and freedom. The past is seen as something outside our control. It has happened. It cannot be changed, and therefore, it does not deserve to occupy the mind. Stoics understand this. What matters is not what happened to me, but what do I choose to do with this moment now? That power to respond, to choose, is what allows them to step out of emotional cycles rooted in the past. Someone who has been betrayed may carry resentment, suspicion, and emotional walls into every future relationship, but they can also choose to learn how to protect themselves more wisely, understand others more clearly, and open up again with discernment. These two choices lead to very different lives. One repeats the pain, the other grows from it, and that choice determines their peace, a quality revealed through their demeanor, their eyes, and the way they show up to life. It's undeniable that letting go of the past is a process. It doesn't happen instantly, and it's not always easy, but with persistence and right understanding, the process can unfold naturally. Like releasing a fist that has been clenched for too long. Those who achieve this often feel mental relief, physical relaxation, and most importantly, a release of the energy that was trapped in old memories. Holding on to long-standing negative emotions, regret, anger, self-pity, resentment, creates psychological pressure and alters one's facial expression. People who live in that state often wear a tense look, have tired eyes, and a fatigued tone of voice. Over time, these signs become visible indicators of prolonged stress, eroding natural brightness and ease. By contrast, those who let go often carry a relaxed face, open features, and a steady voice, all signs of internal release. The ability to release the past also allows one to live the present more fully. When they are no longer pulled backward by old memories, they can focus more clearly on current relationships, meaningful work, and unfinished dreams. They do not live in what-ifs, not what if I had chosen differently, not what if I hadn't lost that chance, but in what can I do right now? This shift generates an internal current of positive energy that moves them forward with firm steps and eyes fixed on the future. A key practice in Stoicism is the capacity to forgive, not only others but also oneself. Forgiveness does not mean justifying the mistake. It means freeing oneself from the role of the victim. Those who can forgive their own past mistakes do not allow them to haunt the present. They extract the lesson, adjust their behavior, and continue forward without shame. In this way, forgiveness becomes an act of courage and the highest expression of inner freedom. In daily life, those who have let go of the past tend to communicate more gently. They don't bring up old stories to wound others, nor do they use memory as a tool of control or confinement. They listen with a fresh perspective, see people without prejudice, and create real opportunities for change. These behaviors are healing, not only for themselves, but for everyone around them. Ultimately, those who understand that the past cannot be changed, but the present can, carry a unique vitality and peace. They do not let the years gone by dim the light of today. They are fully present in every action, every conversation, every moment. And it is that presence that makes them appear forever young, not in skin or form, but because their mind is no longer imprisoned in a place where time has stopped. We cannot stay biologically young forever, but we can choose to live youthfully each day through how we think, how we respond, and how we connect with life. For me, Stoicism isn't a lofty theory to display. It's a tool I practice every morning when I wake and every night before I sleep. I begin each day with one simple question: what might happen today that is beyond my control, and how will I respond to it? Just a few minutes preparing my mind for small disruptions, traffic, an offhand remark, a hiccup at work, and I find myself calmer, less tense, and lighter in the face. Most importantly, I choose to be around people who make me better and brighter, not with poetic words, but with real living energy. Because aging gracefully doesn't begin with the skin. It begins with a soul that knows how to live rightly, clearly, and with purpose. If this content stirred something within you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next. This is how we grow together toward a life of greater strength, self-mastery, and depth, day by day. And remember, time does not make us old. Only surrender does that. I'll see you in the next video.